Hello, you're listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracy Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians.
Do you remember all those funny phrases and not so funny ones that your parents or whoever you grew up with used to say to you? One thing that my mum used to say was that, if me and my sister were annoying her in some way, or we were fighting or arguing, she used to say to us, "Go and play on the M6. Now, the M6, if you don't know, if you're not in Britain, is a motorway. It was probably about 3 miles from our house. And she used to say that, "Go and play on the M6, which is terrible, isn't it? But I'm sure there's lots of them that mums and people who looked after us used to say when they were really at the end of their tether. And one other one that sticks with me is, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." And so when you hear that one a number of times, then to me there are kind of like a range of people who accept that in different ways. So there's the people who it's just water off a duck's back and they don't even listen. They don't care. It never enters their mind. It never lodges in their brain. And then there are people who, when they've heard it a number of times, start to think, I need to be quiet. Because every time I say that, or I do that, or I'm showing my emotion, I get told, stop being so silly, shut up, stop crying, else I'll give you something to cry about. And eventually those types of people start to not show their emotion. They start to internalize it. And if they feel upset, they may kind of hold it all in until they get home or until they're on their own. And then they may not even be able to release it then. It's all pent up. And with the passage of time, that kind of emotion, it's just stored. The person moves on from whatever happened, but their mind keeps it going. And there's lots of things to say about this. First of all, horses do this as well, of course, that you meet the horse who is very quiet, very calm. Maybe it's a new horse and you think, wow, this is a bit of a difference from my other horses. And you think, I'm so lucky. I've got a horse that's quiet, compliant, doesn't make a fuss. And then as you get to know the horse, because you're being so caring and compassionate, because the horse realizes that in you, they start to feel more confident in showing that emotion. So maybe then they start to buck or bolt, or maybe they start to spook or whatever they do. And you think, what have I done wrong? And actually you've done something right, because that horse has been able to express themselves, maybe for the first time in their life. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And as human beings, we don't interpret it as a wonderful thing. we interpret it as a mistake that we've made, or that something horrendous has gone wrong. We don't think, well, finally, that shut down horse, who we may not have realised was shut down, has got the confidence and feels safe enough to express themselves. And I think this happens with people as well, that many, many people bottle up those emotions, and they could be from childhood, they could be from something trivial or relatively trivial, could be something that was very, very traumatic as well. But because they've learned to shut themselves down, to internalize it, to not talk to anybody or very few people about it, and it's kept inside, and it's like a burning ember that they may or may not even be aware of. And so sometimes those people that are very quiet, unassuming, get on with life, seem kind of stoic, pragmatic people, that sometimes those are the people who, when you do see them explode, you're quite shocked because you think, where on earth did that anger come from? That's so out of character. And so I suppose I want to say that it's good to express emotions and that it's good to get them out, however you do that, rather than bottle them up. And some people might get them out using sport. They might go for a run. Have they processed that mentally? Or have they exhausted themselves so that they no longer think about it? Well, that depends on the person. Some people, if they go out for a run or a walk or a ride or whatever it might be, they've been able to process. Other people have pushed it further back into their mind. And so if we can find a channel to get those emotions out, if we could do that gently, without having to make that person angry or frustrated so that they explode, wouldn't that be something? And that's what I do with timeline therapy. So if you can't get your emotion out of yourself by doing some sport or doing something that you absolutely love or being on your own, and working through it rather than internalizing it. So almost bringing it external, even if you're on your own, or chatting about it with a close friend, partner, or family member, then timeline is really lovely and gentle. And it's a really lovely way to get those emotions out that may have been stored up for decades. So I want you to think now about that horse that was shut down and how we should celebrate when that horse starts spooking, and then help that horse to regulate their nervous system, because that's what we could do for ourselves. I hope that's food for thought. Take care, and I'll see you again really soon.